Real purpose is not self-fulfillment, it's joyful obedience. And the most satisfied, joyful, life-giving people are those who stop asking what will fulfill me and start asking how can my life reflect Christ. Welcome to the Steps to Thrive podcast, a place for real talk about life and leadership for young Christians passionate to grow. Today's question comes from a young man named John, and it is one nearly every college student and many college grads wrestle with at some point. He asks, in a world that tells us to follow our heart, what advice do you give to individuals trying to understand what unique purpose God has for their life? John, that is a great question. And culture gives us a very confident answer: to follow your heart. From tabloids, magazines, novels, and news clips, that is the message. But Scripture gives a different one. Your heart, my heart, not designed to be a compass. It's designed to be shaped. Jeremiah reminds us that the heart is deceitful, desperately wicked. It's easily influenced, easily swayed, easily distracted. If you follow it without grounding it in truth, you won't discover purpose. You'll drift. Purpose doesn't begin with self-discovery. It begins with knowing God. Before asking, what am I supposed to do with my life? Ask, do I know the one who gave me life? Colossians 3:2 tells us to set our minds on things above. That means we don't start with career. We don't start with passion. We don't even start with gifting. We start with God. The more we know God through his word, the clearer everything becomes. James 1:5 tells us that if we lack wisdom, we should ask God, and he gives it generously. That means we are not left guessing. We are invited to seek. And one of my favorite verses in the entire Bible, Psalm 37:4 says, delight yourself in the Lord, and he will give you the desires of your heart. That verse is deeper than it sounds. As you delight in him, he reshapes your desires. He aligns your hopes, desires, ambitions with his purposes. The desires formed in a heart surrendered to God are often the very avenues through which he directs you and intends to use the gifts he's given to you to glorify him and impact the dark world in desperate need of gospel light. And ultimately, our purpose is already settled. Isaiah relates that God created us for his glory. The Westminster Shorter Catechism answers the same question. They ask, what is the chief end of man? And answer by teaching that man's chief end is to glorify God and to enjoy him forever. We exist to glorify God. Pastor John Piper emphasizes in so much of his writing and preaching that God is most glorified in us when we are most satisfied in him. Real purpose is not self-fulfillment, it's joyful obedience. And the most satisfied, joyful, life-giving people are those who stop asking what will fulfill me and start asking how can my life reflect Christ. For the college student, daily faithfulness is your current calling as a student, and that honors and glorifies God. That means faithfulness in class, diligence in study, integrity in relationships, service in your local church, discipline in your habits, courage in hard decisions and conversations, and faith for the next steps, trusting that God often reveals the next steps while you're faithfully stewarding your current steps. So here are 3 practical steps to consider. Rather than following the substanceless advice to follow your heart, take steps to set your mind on things above. First, start by praying for maybe 5 minutes each day. You can set a timer if you need to. Ask God for wisdom. Ask him to shape your desires. Ask him to order your steps. Second, if you aren't already reading maybe 1 chapter of Scripture a day, start there. Just 1 chapter, maybe in the Gospels of Matthew, Mark, Luke, or John, or in Proverbs from the Old Testament. Let God speak to you before the world does. And over time, you can work your way into more Scripture and more time in Scripture. Third, I encourage you to schedule a meal with someone you respect, a mentor, professor, pastor, coach. Ask them how God led them, maybe what mistakes they made. Listen, ask questions, and reject the culture's call to follow your heart. Ask God to form your heart. Seek him, trust him, walk faithfully, and watch him lead in ways that are exceedingly, abundantly above all that you could ask or think, according to his abundant power and amazing grace. And that will be a foundation for you to pursue the purpose for which he has created you, to honor and glorify him. And from there, you can use your unique gifts and abilities that you've been developing over time to honor and glorify him and serve the church. Stay awesome. Stay on the narrow path, taking steps to thrive for God's glory.